I was in World War II. I wasn't in combat. Joined the Navy in October 27th, 1942. My brother joined later, but he convinced me that I ought to study engineering. And I'd worked in mechanical assistant, crash boats and things like that, air sea rescue. Now at that time, they had what's called a GI Bill that allowed us to go to college, and they paid for it. So he convinced me to go to a small school in Louisiana. At that time, it was called Southwestern Institute. Today, it's University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And then I went to graduate school at LSU, started working for the Army in Vicksburg, Mississippi, Corps of Engineers. I studied mechanical engineering. It turns out I was working in civil engineering. In the meantime, while I was in Vicksburg, Mississippi, working for the Corps of Engineers, I met my wife. She was studying to be a nurse. We got married in '53. My roommate in college, good friend I grew up with, had come to Huntsville. He called me. He said, "Why don't you come up here? They're working on a rocket." Well, I didn't know a rocket was anything, so I came up in '53 and early '54 is when I joined the team.
Godspeed, John Glenn.
That's one small step for man.
Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
Rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
They sent me around different places to be interviewed by the German team. When I talked to Mr. Schulze, William Schulze, he sets me down by his desk and he takes out this drawing, lays it on his desk. And I could see tanks and trucks and pipelines and all there. And here's his Redstone missile sitting on a pedestal. So he makes it clear right off the bat. He used a little psychology on me. He said, we work on this part up here of the rocket. I was very much interested. He got my attention when he said that. That's where I started in propulsion. He'd come around, down-to-earth guy, good engineer, a lot of charisma. We had these big drawing boards, and he'd look at it, and he'd talk to the guys and make comments. He'd make notes on the drawing, and then the guys wouldn't pay any attention. They'd erase his drawing. We all worked for the Department of Defense, worked for the Army. But the Secretary of Defense, he said the Navy is going to put up our satellite. We did fly the 3 stages. If we'd had the 4th stage on, we could have beat them. In the meantime, they said the Navy's going to do it. Kaput, kaput, kaput. And so he said, okay, Army, go ahead. And ours had been in the warehouse. He told us to put ours in the warehouse. I was here. I didn't go down for that. I was down there for Alan Shepard in 1961.
Liftoff. All right, liftoff, and the clock is starting.
Look at this. This was a letter from me to my mother in Daytona Beach, Florida. In October, she's at the airport coming to see her grandkids. In October. Who she spot there? Alan Shepard. She goes up to him and she starts digging in her pocketbook. I want your autograph. She finds this envelope that I had written her. So she gives it to him. He was startled, but he wrote. Now look where he wrote. Look on the back. See it? He wrote Alan B. Shepard. Now look what he does. He puts a 1 there. You see that 1? He did like that. My mother said, "What's that 1? I was first in space." She said, "No, you weren't. The chimpanzees were." He walked off. A true story. He was so upset. I came across several years later a write-up of questions to Wernher von Braun by LBJ, Kennedy's vice president. Okay? It is dated April 28, 1961. Questions, can they go to the moon? The Russians go to the moon. It's probably 5 or 6 questions. Von Braun answered each one of them. Can they go to the moon? Can they put something on the moon? They go around the moon. What can we do that shows promise technologically? So Von Braun answered each one of those. So he says in there, we could beat them to the moon. He answers back to LBJ, April 20th. Now, Alan Shepard flies the 5th, May 25th, he goes, commits us to go to the moon. 20 days later. Now, where am I going with the story? Leadership. Kennedy committed us, got the whole country, including the Congress, to support us. But he got input from a guy named von Braun. Okay, leadership. So when I tell him, That's what we did. I said, your computers, all the stuff you have, iPhones, all that, where do you think all that technology came from? We didn't spend 10 cents on the moon. It was doing all this, getting ready. About the middle of March 62, Von Braun called Dr. Marazi, my lab chief, and myself. He said, we're going to Houston and meet the guys from Langley. So he lets us read his speech on the plane. It was a chartered B-26 bomber. Noisiest plane ever been on in my life. And he wanted to team up with John Hobart, who was at Langley. He wanted to team up with them to get a decision from Washington to go LOR, Lunar Orbital Rendezvous. We got to turn the whole world on. 400,000 people got to get busy working on all that. So he knew that. They had leased a motel that had been closed. I don't even know how we got there. We was in a small conference room, very small room. Probably wasn't 12 or 15 of us there. I talked about the engines, the F1 engine and the J2, and Dr. Marazi talked about the work we done on the first stage. And then Von Braun reads his speech that we'd already read on the plane going down. Now John Glenn is there with them, had just flown. They bring in boxed lunches, and here's McCool sitting by his bureau with a boxed lunch. You know, we're eating and everything, and I'm just in awe of this guy, you know, still am. They make the decision. They're gonna go LOR. Von Braun always preached to us, test, 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 test. And ultimately what you have is a cluster, okay? Now that's just a static fire. You don't really know till you fly. But there's other things you worry about, where we did a lot of vibration testing, like we did modal testing and everything in a big test stand there, just to understand what it's doing. But we have a lot of instrumentation. That's how we knew we had problems on Apollo 6. We knew we had hydrogen leaks. When first testing on the ground, okay, we didn't know there's a hydrogen line going through there. Didn't have a problem. Went in flight, come to find out, no ice. It was sitting on the ground, the line inside of liquid hydrogen, it freezes liquid air. So the line didn't move. How'd we prove that? Put in a vacuum chamber. Sure enough, it failed. Now, we haven't talked about the F1 combustion instability. It sets up high frequency vibration, millisecond destroys itself. I set up one of my guys, Jerry Thompson, with our contractor, Rocketdyne. They set up Paul Kassenholz. We had Princeton University under Dr. Luigi Crocco. Now, I appreciate in these days, this in the early 60s, we're still using slide rule. Didn't have no high-speed computers. There's all kinds of speculation. What sets this thing off so it triggers itself and destroys itself? Now think of it, you're blowing that whole engine up in a test stand. Nobody gets hurt, but you're really tearing up a lot of hardware and test stand. Came up with a configuration that baffles inside where the injector is. And so they came up with this design, but it was trial and error. Till we blow it up in, you try this configuration, build it, go test it, blows up. A lot of instrumentation. Very expensive. We spent over $40 million, 1960. You think that, what, that's billions today. Okay? So Crocco goes on sabbatical and he's in Rome, Italy. I told Jerry, I said, hey guys, get the drawing of the latest configuration. It's got the baffles in it. You got to get on the plane, go to Rome, show it to him. Should we build that? They go over there with the drawing, come back, he said, yeah, let's build it and test it. So to this day, it works. The baffle works. I can't explain it to you mathematically why, but we spent a lot of time. It brought us to our knees. And you know what we call that injector? The kitchen sink injector. Tried all the recipe, trial and error. Really had problems going uphill. The mirrored shield tore off one of the solar systems. So we had to rescue the thing. And that's when I was going to learn how to be a rescue guy. I started learning how to be scuba diver in our neutral buoyancy tank. We had the only tank, and the astronauts would come up here to learn what kind of tools they're going to need once they go up in orbit. on Saturn 1B. So we were heavily involved in that. But concurrent with that, I was in Houston in 1973 working, trying to get a contract for the orbiter and also the tank, external tank for the shuttle. And then I had our solids group that worked on solid rocket motors with Cycol. It's all about propulsion. In fact, I headed up a lab, propulsion laboratory. I had several hundred people, a lot of contracts, a lot of fun stuff. I was heavily involved. Challenger, Jim Earl, one of my guys, started looking at film, and sure enough, they saw they had film on the pad. They could see hot gas coming from the solid rocket motor impinging on the hydrogen tank. They set up a committee. Bob Crippen was down there for NASA. He wanted somebody to come down, work with the Navy on what they're looking for. Now they had the medical people, had nothing to do with that. I worked with the Navy on recovery. And I had a team of guys that helped me. They had 2 submersibles, looked like a helicopter if you go down in the water. And I could put one of my guys on it. They carried a crew of 2, and it could go looking. Late February, I get a call on Sunday morning. They found the part that failed. They suited us up, life preservers and rain suit. Said, okay, we got to take you over to this other ship. And there was a line hanging down with a ladder called a Jacob's ladder. They said, climb that ladder now. And there's the hardware. They recovered the first piece. Okay, and you can see the flame, or the hot flame, like a acetylene torch cutting. And so we took pictures. We had a camera, and we did take plastic bag. We took some cardboard and made a template of what that looked like. So they did bring the hardware up. In the meantime, here's all the Rogers Commission people wanting us to take them over there to look. So the next day, we're over there looking at all this stuff and showing them and telling them and everything. Bottom line is, the O-ring failed. We lost the crew. It opened our eyes. We shouldn't have watched. Leadership said, let's fly, and made a mistake. And I still live with that, and I live with Columbia. I was manager of the shuttle till 2004, and I retired 2004. Started coming here. I've been coming here for my mind, like talking. And I'm talking to you about helps my mind, my computer. So you're doing a blessing for me. You guys are helping me, and people want to know it's giving me longevity. I honestly think the future is still going into space. I think space still excites people, and I see that here. I'm around the young people here who ought to be looking, what else can we do? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's bring up some new things.